Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I'm here in London doing a nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant. The title today, Abraham's Faith Tested. Genesis 12 verse 2. I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. It was not a small trial to Abraham to be called to leave his home and acquaintances and go into a land that he knew not. When he came into that land, he found that the Canaanites were there, and he would have all their idolatry to meet. This was a severe trial to Abraham's faith. He could not see any possession that he could claim as his own. But in his perplexity, the God of heaven condescended to preach the gospel to him and show him the possession that he should have for an eternal inheritance. Abraham moved from place to place as it seemed advisable for him in order to obtain a support for his family, and his family was not small. His trained servants numbered more than 400. At every place where he pitched his tent, close beside it he erected an altar. So he worshipped God in every place where he was called to be. In thus doing, he was training his family to love and fear God. All God's followers, wherever they shall go, should carry the true principles of their religion with them. If sin, forgetfulness of God, and idolatry exist in the places where they shall go, then is the time for them to show their true principles. When we set ourselves where all is convenience and ease, we do not feel so much the necessity of depending moment by moment upon God. God in his providence brings us into positions where we shall feel our necessity of his help and his strength. Now, the Lord has a controversy with his people, and he wants every one of us to come into obedience to his requirements. We are none of us, when duty is laid out before us, to question, is it convenient or will it please me to do this? If God says it is enough. We are to take our Bibles, we are to study and see what the will of God is concerning us, and then to follow as Abraham did, in faith and confidence. Now, you see, the first test was a very close test for Abraham, to leave everything and go into a land of strangers. There were adverse circumstances that followed Abraham for a time that brought him into positions of trial where he was proved of God. When the Lord opened before him the view of immortal life, of his earth purified, which was to be his home, he was satisfied. So Abraham's faith tested. And I think you heard it. So I have to go back to how big his whole household was. His trained servants numbered more than 400. 400 servants. What were they all doing? I mean, that must have included the shepherds and looking after the livestock and etc., etc. 400 servants. That's immense. So he had to move from place to... Just imagine moving from place to place with all those tents. How many tents were they having to put up and take down, put up and take down? And they're not like the tents we have these days. They just pop up. These are just poles and skins and pieces of material. Well, I'm assuming they might have had proper tents for all we know. They might have had proper ones than we have. But the fact is, they were taking them up and putting them down all the time. But every place he went was full of idolatry, idol worship. And it must be challenging when you are living among people who do not fear God, you probably do not even know God. And then you're doing something completely different to what they're accustomed to, and you're living among them. And it's not like that saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. It's not like that at all, because this is a whole lifestyle salvation issue. How would you be if God woke you up one day and said, I want you to go away from here, take all your stuff and go, pack yourself up and go? And you're like, where? Just go. How would you deal with that?